So our speaker is named Heather Ball. The title of her presentation is Mind Your Thinking to Enhance Your Job Search. She is a successful business professional with a passion for helping others reach their ultimate potential. She has her MBA from McCombs School of Business at UT. She was the executive VP of a technology startup in Austin that served the construction industry with electronic bid information. After the successful sale of that startup, which was called AGC Connect, she spent 6 years in Korea with her husband and 3 daughters. She now dedicates her time to bringing relief and joy to the workplace through strategic business and career coaching through her through her company called Pro Advisor Coach. Let's give a warm welcome to Heather Ball.
Thank you so much. I forgot to turn my mic on, but it looks like I need it. It should come on here in a second. Let me know when the mic's hot. Yeah? Okay. All right, thank you so much for that introduction and warm welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you today to talk about your thinking, which you may not realize is probably your most valuable asset, how you think. We're going to get into a lot of detail, but first, I'm going to escape these, and we're going to watch a little video real quick. I'm going to ask your permission. We'll make it big, maybe.
Want me to point it this way? No. Never. Okay.
There's Can everyone see it all right? This little guy's got a job, taking his dog for a walk. That's just too tempting, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna let that wait just a minute. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, one more time. Yes. Yes, splash. Again. Should I go back? No. Okay, one more. Yeah, stand in it a little bit. Okay, that's fun. Yeah, running start here this time. He hollers up ahead. Okay, one more time. Okay. So what I want to ask you today is, we've got serious business here about looking for work, about talking about your thinking, watching commercials that I don't know what that is, go away. But what I want to do is ask you, let's just take a break for a little bit, all right? Relax. Yes, everyone take a deep breath. In, 1, 2, 3, hold it. Exhale. And I just want to ask your permission. Let's see if this is going to work. Oh, awesome. So I just want to ask your permission. Let's just have some fun, okay? We're going to have a little bit of fun like this guy. You can look this up. I usually just Google, or on YouTube I search, boy with dog and puddle, and it comes up. It's a really great intro to just taking a break from all the cares of the world, right? Sometimes we just need to let it down for a minute. Okay, everybody up for that? Having a little bit of fun, talking a little bit about our thinking, being real? Okay, so we've got Jack Sparrow here in a minute that we're going to talk about. But what I want to start with is just a few statistics, just to try to bring you in and convince you of my perception about how powerful your thinking can be. Okay? So let's talk about typical thinking here for a minute. I got my cheat sheet just to make sure I get the statistics right. So how many thoughts do you think we process in the day? So in the last couple decades, neuroscience has really taken a leap forward, right? Because of the scale of the microscopes, we're able to really see deeply. You have an answer? What do you think?
65 to 85,000.
Wow, you're good. Okay, so the statistic I have is close. It's a little bit different, and yours is probably more accurate. I had 45 to 65, but I believe that it could be up to 85,000. I mean, a lot of you think a lot more thoughts than I do. I try not to think too many thoughts. We'll get into that later. What percentage of those thoughts do you think might be negative?
75%.
It's a good guess. Any other guesses? Do you think that's high or low? What are you thinking? She said 75. You think it's low? 10? Yeah. Oh, positive guy back here. Okay. Right. Are you working or not? That's a very good point. Okay. So the statistic I have is 80%. Yeah. But the thoughts we think. 80,000 thoughts a day, right? And then 80% of them negative. Okay, what percentage of your thoughts that you're going to think throughout the day today, what percentage of those exactly are you going to repeat tomorrow? How many of the thoughts you have today are going to be repeated tomorrow? 50? 80? You're the winner. Chicken dinner later, yep. No, you said 80? I was getting confused. That's why I have this little sticky note. I don't know why I always confuse these statistics. 95% of what you think about today, you will think again tomorrow. Right? Because, I mean, your life, you're living your life today, and tomorrow you can get up and live it again. One of my favorite statistics that's not in here right now, a lot of those negative thinkings can also be termed worries, right? Yeah, we think a lot about what we're worried about. And does anyone know this famous statistic? What percentage of the things we worry about coming to pass actually come to pass?
20%.
Like
Higher than 2%.
nearly none, but it is about 10 or 15%. So we actually do worry about a few things that happen, but like 85% of what we worry about never happens. 90 to 95% of what we worry about that does happen isn't nearly to the scale of what we worried that it was going to be. So even that 10, 15% we're worried about this happening happens, it's not as big or as terrible as we thought it would be. Okay, so why am I telling you all of this? One other thing is, and we'll talk about the mind scan later, one of the things we evaluate in the mind scan assessment, which you have a link this week to take if you want to, and you will get it again next week. And then Patty and I, you may have seen her up here before, are going to do a workshop about the mind scan and talking about your results. We provide this assessment to executives for $500 each. So I highly recommend that you take advantage of this free offer. Take this. It talks a little bit about how you think about your internal world and how you think about your external world. One of the things we've discovered is people understand and see more clearly the external world than in their own mind, right, in their own thinking. So that's why we're going to talk about this today, is start dealing with some of those negative thoughts and learning more about the power and reality of your thoughts. So because your perception is your reality, right, then we want to deal with all those negative thoughts because that perception is affecting your reality. So what we want to do is get to truth, not just what you think about the circumstance or the situation and all those negative thoughts that keep replaying. We want to step outside of that and ask ourselves what is true. Okay, so that your perception then lines up more closely to truth, and that becomes your reality. And the other thing I want to discuss with you is your past does not ever equal your future. Okay, so no matter where you've come from, or what's going on right now, or how difficult this job search was yesterday, that does not have to be what tomorrow looks like. Okay, so we're going to take a minute, we're going to step outside of that negative thinking. So before we do that, what time do I need to wrap up?
You got till quarter to 12 if you want.
So I just want to go over a little bit about how the brain works. So you've got Captain Jack Sparrow might not be the best example of a captain. But I like him, and my kids think it's funny that he's in my slide presentation, so I keep him. Captain Kirk is a better example. But here's how your brain works. You have a subconscious and you have a conscious mind, right? Which one runs your life? The subconscious by far, right? The subconscious runs your life, and here's why. Your conscious mind is the captain. The subconscious does whatever the captain says. The conscious mind might say, oh, it's a horrible day. I'm never going to get a job. The subconscious does not understand why you said it, where it's coming from. It just makes it so. Okay? So your conscious mind, your conscious negative thinking gets embedded in that subconscious record that gets repeated every day. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to put a stop to that negative thinking. We want to stop saying things over our life that are negative and speak positive truth over our life. We want to take a more objective look at our thinking and put the subconscious on a positive track. Does that make sense? Start feeding it the positive thoughts that are true.
Can you say that again?
Okay, so the subconscious mind does what the conscious mind tells it. And so as you're conscious, those are the thoughts that are more easily controlled, right? Your subconscious is that's the repeat. That 95% of repeat thoughts every day, okay? So what we want to do is we want to take the conscious mind and start planting, and we'll talk about the trees later that you're planting and growing in your mind. You want to start planting those positive thoughts. You want to start looking at your life more objectively, step out of the emotion, step out of that cycle of negative thinking, and make a conscious effort to say, these are some great things I've done in my career. This is how competent I am. This is how valuable I am as a person, and what I have to contribute to work, to family, to society. And start concentrating more on those using your conscious mind to change the record of the subconscious. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Okay. Sorry, I'm going a little bit fast because I wasn't sure. My CEO likes to talk about the monkey brain or the reptilian brain. Okay, so one of the things that also gets us in that cycle is fear. That basic reptilian brain of, okay, I've got to stay safe. I've got to look out for all the dangers, right? But we want to rise above that. We don't want to live in fear. We don't want to worry about all of those, the many, many things that could go wrong. We want to evolve above that and focus on the wonderful things that we're able to contribute, and to recognize that 85% of those fears are not founded. Okay, so we want to set aside the reptilian brain and plant healthy trees. So one of the things I find fascinating about neuroscience is they've found that the actual cell structure of memories has a particular look about it. And beautiful, positive, loving, forgiving, gracious memories look a whole lot like a beautiful green tree. And bitterness and unforgiveness and self-doubt and fear look a whole lot like this dead tree. Isn't that fascinating? Our brain is created for love. I mean, not just love in general, love for ourselves, love for the people around us, grace and forgiveness. We're going to talk a little bit about forgiveness later, because although a lot of us understand forgiveness in our personal lives, as a business coach and consultant, I think it's incredibly important in our careers and in our businesses to recognize that it's all about people, and people make mistakes, and people hurt one another, and we need to recognize that forgiveness brings freedom into our life. This is going faster than. Okay, so building awareness. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. This is what the MindScan assessment results will look like. They'll be similar to this. And when you do the assessment, it's really fun. It's very quick, 10 to 15 minutes. And we'll discuss 3 areas of thinking. Who you are as a relator, who you are as a doer, and who you are as a thinker, the way it should be. And within those 3 columns, there are 2 different dimensions of thinking. The external thinking, the external thinking is empathy, and then practical thinking, and structured thinking. Those are the 3 different ways we evaluate your thinking. And it's really interesting because the size of the circle will tell us about your clarity in each area of thinking. And then the bias will show us areas in which you're most comfortable or most passionate. And the way in which they interact together will also give us some insights to some of the things that you're bringing to the table, to your job search, to your next company, that is most valuable. And knowing that about yourself is really important. One of the things you want to do as you consider your thinking is becoming more aware. Like we talked about before, you don't want to just think these same thoughts over and over, regardless of whether they're true or not, right? We want to be self-aware, understand where we're coming from, where we're at, how we're thinking, have a clear understanding of all that you're bringing to the table in that interview for that next great opportunity, right? Like Rich Campy, the CEO of our company, likes to say, be the first believer. It's really important that you're self-aware, that you know what you're contributing, and that you believe it, right? Don't let all of those negative thoughts undermine what you have to bring to the table. You're incredibly valuable, uniquely created. I mean, one of the things that I like to think about is you were uniquely created. Like the creator of the universe, why didn't he just make like 5 million of you, 5 million of you, and a couple million of you, and 3 million of you, right? No, he made each one of you completely unique. Why? Because he has a purpose for your life. So don't discount the way in which you were made. You have a lot to offer, and it is uniquely designed for the next opportunity in your life. There is an important and powerful purpose for your life. So one of the things that I encourage all of my clients to do is meditation. It's really important every morning, and this helps abort that cycle of negative thinking. Take a few minutes every morning and just clear your mind. Quiet the chatter from the reptilian brain that just has all these fears going on and on. Quiet those. Think about who you really are, the value you really bring, and take a minute to observe your thoughts, right? You might be saying things to yourself. I'm certain that you're saying things to yourself that are not true, right? Why? Because that's what we do. I mean, those statistics verify that. So stopping that negative self-talk by just taking a few minutes every morning, get in the habit, getting up in the morning, taking some quiet time, and quieting those thoughts, observing what is true, and focusing on that. So this is one of the things I mentioned a little bit earlier, is forgiveness. So there's a famous quote by Lewis Smedes, I believe is the name. And he said, forgiveness is releasing a prisoner. and discovering that that prisoner is you. So a lot of times I think when we're in transition, whether it's family or career or any number of things in life, it's important to recognize our thinking in those emotional situations. Like how much of our thinking is rooted in the past or in a hurt that is really disrupting the future. Your past is not equal to the future. And a lot of the problems in moving forward is this issue of forgiveness. And I think it's really important in our careers and in our jobs to recognize that sometimes things have happened in our career that were not right, that were not fair, right? And probably all of us have encountered that at one point or another. But then the question remains, do we want that obstacle, that problem that happened in the past to continue, to cause us difficulty and inhibit us from moving forward and being our best selves? And the best way to move past that is forgiveness, is what I've found. And we talked about earlier the love. I jumped ahead actually on this. What does God think of you? Because I believe that He created you. He created all of us so uniquely. And that's a great source to go to. If you're wondering, what do I think about myself? What is true about myself? So mind your thoughts. I've left quite a bit of space here for Q&A because I want to get some people more involved, and I have a little exercise for us to do at the end here. In the end, I want you to mind your thoughts. Do the mind scan. Please go online and take that assessment because it's very valuable and there's no charge for it. We'll come back here on an afternoon at a satellite meeting and discuss all of them together. Become more aware of your thinking and focus on truth. So we're going to do a little exercise now before the Q&A. So think for a minute and write down, if you have a pen and paper, write down the most impressive career or job project accomplishment that you've ever had. Maybe it was in school, maybe it was in your last job, maybe it was in your first job. I just want you to think about that time when you were the man, you were the woman, you were the one, you really were proud of what you accomplished on this day in your career. Take a few minutes and write that down, and then we're going to do something with it. Now this is what I want you to do next with that thought. I want you to turn to your neighbor. If you can have 3 people together is best, if it's just a couple of you. And I want you to tell them about that event. I'm just going to give you 3 or 4 minutes. You got a minute and a half each. Share with your neighbor. Jumping jacks. What do I have to do? Oh, yeah, I have your attention. Okay, good. How many people shared a story for the first time? I mean, like, that was the first time you ever, like, told someone, I rocked it that day in my career. Yeah, really? Okay. I mean, we typically like to talk about that kind of stuff, right? I am so good. No, but, okay, how did it feel? You know what I noticed? People wouldn't stop talking. No, yeah, I did notice that. That's true. But I also noticed people are sitting up a little bit straighter. Do you feel that? Do you feel it in your body? Okay. Did you hear it in your tone of voice? Like when you told that story, was your tone of voice different than when you talk about your job search? Yeah. Okay. So, what is true about our communication? What percentage do we communicate with our physiology versus our tone of voice versus the words we say? Anyone know?
85%.
Say again.
85% of how you communicate is body language.
Okay, that includes tone of voice, I think. So yes, so that's about right. Although the statistic I have is that your words carry weight to the tune of about 7%. So if you're just going to say, I'm the best person for this job, they're going to believe what I just said about 7% because the rest of it didn't confirm it, right? So be the first believer. Make that 67% of physiology. It's like your presence, even if you're on the phone or in a video interview, okay? If you're on the phone and it's important and it's part of your job search, stand up, okay? It makes a difference because even though the way we think and what we're talking about, if we believe it and we know it to be true and we're positive and we're excited about it, our physiology and our tone support that, right? But it works the other way too. So we can affect our physiology, we can affect our physical presence and be mindful of that and our tone, and it also affects our thinking and our belief system, okay? So be mindful of all of that. Does anyone have a great example that they'd like to share? Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Back for just a second. What was the percentage for the body language and tone communication?
I think, I should have put that on my sticky note too. I think it's 67%, and then I know that the words are 7%. Whatever the difference is your tone of voice. So who has a great example of, in 2 minutes or less, an amazing thing you did in your career? Stand up and tell us.
Hi, I'm in HR, and in the last 12 and a half years with this company, I had 0 EEOC claims awarded because of proactive reactions and investigations and finding out what the issues were.
Wow, that's amazing. Excellent. Good job. Who else has a great story? Just, you really rocked it on this day in your career. Tell us. Okay, she's pointing at you. What do you think? Can you tell us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. What did I say? So, we started a nonprofit that did charity work in Mexico. We raised funds and put together a community center that paid local parents in barter through the company store to tutor the neighborhood kids. So we provide a play area after school and picnic tables and ping pong tables and things like that to reward the people in the community for tutoring their own kids.
Wow.
And it went on for 10 years.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. How about one more?
So mine's a little weird. I homeschooled my kids before my career pivot, which is what I'm working on now. In the process, I worked extensively in the Austin area community for Austin area homeschoolers, running camps, projects, activities, events, chess club, things like that. And probably one of the proudest things is when I hear back both from the kids that my kids grew up with and their parents about the little things that I did that just seemed like nothing, and the impact, the positive impact that had, and the positive ripple effects that it still has. So I just want to remind y'all, a lot of the things that we do that seem like nothing have much bigger impact than we have any clue. And that's a message I get back fairly frequently, and it's really lovely.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Very good. So what I want to encourage you in is to recognize that all of you have those stories. There are days in your past and in your career and in your development and your education that are powerful moments of a snapshot of honestly, truthfully, how great you are. take that moment in the morning when you're being mindful and remind yourself of those things, right? Because the people wanting to hire you, they want to hire that person, right? But you are that person. That's the thing. Stop letting the negative thoughts convince you otherwise. Be that person that knocked it out of the ballpark that day where you stepped up and you did a great job and you were phenomenal, right? Yeah, so I think I'll open it to questions right now, and if another personal story might come up later. Are there any questions, any other questions about thinking?
Is it Heather, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Heather, one thing that you didn't mention in here, and I've always found to be really critical about basically getting your mind right, is the effect of endorphins.
Say again?
The effect of endorphins.
The effect of endorphins, okay.
Can you repeat that, Heather, so we can get on that?
Sure, he's found the effect of endorphins. Go on and I'll repeat what you said so that...
Well, the effect of endorphins are critical about altering your mind state. So without that, it's very difficult to achieve some of the things that we're talking about. And those, to me, from what I've learned, are critical. You've got to get those endorphins flowing to put you in that correct mind state.
Okay, and do you have any recommendations for our audience?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Get up off your butt, go out walking, go out running, but go out in your backyard and garden, go mow your grass, get outside, but get the endorphins flowing. That's what creates those endorphins. It's amazing what it does.
Good, yeah. So making sure that even at this time when your schedule might be a little squishy, right, that you keep physical activity going in your life on a regular basis, daily exercise, producing those endorphins really helps a lot. Huge for focus and for mindfulness. What else?
I think reframing things is just a huge skill to try to develop, where when something presents itself and your first impression is that it's a negative, and you reframe it and you try to see the positive or the learning opportunity or the benefit that, whatever little tiny benefit you can glean from that. For example, I had a job seeker who made a big poster that she attached to her refrigerator that had no, many no's and then a yes at the bottom. And when she got a Dear John letter, when she blew an interview, she'd go home, she'd cross out that no, she'd do a happy dance, and she'd say, yes.
I'm that much closer.
So much closer to my yes.
So I'm so glad you asked that question because now I know why my speech is going so quickly. So the next activity that I want you to do, which I forgot, I want you to talk to those same partners again, just for 5 minutes. And I want you to think about for a minute, before you tell your partner, think about for a minute the one good thing that has come out of your current job search situation. Like whatever created this situation where you're looking for work. Quiet your mind of all the negative and think for a minute. What's one positive that this situation has presented to you? Okay, let's go with the same groups because y'all seem to like each other. You're talking about a lot. And tell Bill that one thing. Right. Is there anyone who really has an interesting, significant, wow, there's something particularly good that came out of this?
I know one.
Okay.
If it hadn't been for the fact that everybody lost their jobs, I would never have met any of you.
It's true.
We had 3 couples meet and get married through Launchpad.
Wow. Okay, that's significant. Yes, sir. Please stand.
Since my first layoff in 2008, the next job I had, I worked from home.
I've been home with my kids, and they're now 16 and 18, and I've been around the house with them as opposed to hiding in my office from them.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. Anybody else? Yes.
Well, I took an itty-bitty contract job this month, and it's enough to put me back on my resume, to put me back into my field and in the direction I want to go.
Wow.
So
That's
I can put linguist on it again, and I can put A on it.
Excellent.
I can put linguist on it.
That's great. Amazing. Good. Yes.
So for me, the last job I had, it was not the right fit for me, and there was a lot of negativity there, so getting out of that, but then realizing that when I'm working, I'm not focusing on myself as much. Since I've lost my job, I've lost 20 pounds, you know, I'm taking better care of myself and stuff like that. So you just realize when you get in that mode at work where you're just like, Mach 10 with your hair on fire, you forget about doing things for yourself, eating right, and exercising.
Wow.
All that kind of stuff, so.
Amazing. That's great. Yeah.
And I was working at home.
Oh, right. Another positive. Good. Oh, okay. Good job. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I've been out of work for 6 months. I've been able to ride my bicycle for exercise 2,500 miles.
2,500 miles. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. A lot of good stuff. Good. So, I'll just tell a quick personal story of mine. I left a job in Oklahoma and moved to Austin sight unseen. No family, no job, no friends. Had enough rent. I was a young person with a bachelor's, and I had enough money for a couple months' rent. I didn't realize they were going to take one of those months for the last month's rent. But anyway, that's another story. I talked one of my classmates into moving here with me. I'm like, oh, come on, finish summer school and just throw your bag in the car. You don't want to go back to Alaska where you're from. Let's go on an adventure. And, after we see Austin, you can fly home after that or whatever. So, a husband and 5 children later, her father's still saying, Alaska's north of Oklahoma. Anyway, that's another story. She's here in Pflugerville still. But I moved here, and after watching the Cowboys used to practice on their off season here in Austin. We'd go down and watch them. Like a month into that, I'm like, somebody's got to get a job. So I did. I signed up with a temp agency, and I got this job doing collections for NI. That is so not what my mind scan says I should do. It was awful. It was awful, awful, awful. And my roommate, we had my car, and my roommate would always get assigned to just weird, odd, 2-day assignments. Mine, of course, was long-term collections at NI. And so she would always drop me off, and then she would go to interviews and try to find work. And I remember sitting in the driveway of NI with my lunch bag, and I would say, please don't make me go in there. Please don't make me do this job. I hate this job. And my very good friend would say, you know what? You only have to do this today. You just have to do it today, and I put something special in your lunch. But that little word of encouragement, right? You only have to do this today because you don't know. 85% of your worries are unfounded. You might have a job tomorrow. You only have to do this today. Whatever the hard parts of your job search are, only have to do it today. Actually, all you have is today. You are not promised tomorrow anyway. So do today what you need to do. Enjoy it, embrace it, and maybe there's something special in your lunch today. The end of that story is I did collections for them, and on this one awful day, my supervisor came and said, the manager wants to see you. I think she's going to make you permanent. Because I really did embrace the day. I went and I entertained the little group of collection ladies, and you know, I just tried to keep it upbeat and did the best I could, even though I hated the job. No one knew I hated the job, evidently. So I go into the manager's office and I bring my resume. She had told me the day before, so I went into the manager's office. I brought my resume. No one knew I had a bachelor's degree. No one knew I had experience in business management. I was just there to, you know, do a job and pay the bills. And I walked in and I said, she complimented me, said she wanted to make me permanent, hire me. And I handed her my resume and I said, oh no. I go, you do not want to do that because I am going to leave as quick as I can. I'm looking for something else. This isn't a good fit. And she took the resume and she flipped through it and she said, oh, do you mind if I give this to my husband? His company is looking for someone just like you. And that introduction led to the role as VP of a startup in Austin, Texas, for me. So trust me when I say, you only have to do this for one more day. This might be the last day.